They left her to die in an alien world. She came back a legend. They thought she was dead, but the truth is, they just didn't want to bring her. A cold, calculated decision if you see people as numbers. They returned and reported, 1 lost, body not recovered. 3 years later, a strange signal echoed from that planet, not a distress call, a warning. When they came back, she was the one who saved them all. The one they left behind had become a legend. Tara, 28, a brilliant young engineer with eyes full of wonder. She graduated top of her class from the Interstellar Technology Academy, a mind far ahead of her peers, but without the field experience to match. This was her first mission as an official member of a deep space exploration team. The Orion 9 crew had 6 members, each an elite in their field. Commander Roth, 45, had led missions across 15 star systems. He was known for his iron discipline and cold, emotionless leadership. In space, there's no room for mistakes or hesitation. That was his mantra. Dr. Mara, 40, a renowned xenobiologist, specialized in alien ecosystems. She was the only one who truly respected Tara. To Mira, science left no room for bias, only data and truth. The rest of Orion 9 included Kaito, a sharp-tongued mechanical engineer; Mills, a geologist who had collected over 200 rock samples from a dozen worlds; Elias, a space medic trained to operate in zero gravity; and Chen, an astrophysicist from the Lunar Observation Institute. Their destination, Xylon 7, a planet 70% the size of Earth but twice as dense. Its thin atmosphere contained just enough oxygen for short-term breathing and just enough toxins to kill you if you stayed too long. Its surface shimmered with crystal plains and metallic ridges, bathed under 2 suns that painted permanent rainbows across the sky. The official mission: survey signs of ancient bioenergy detected by an unmanned probe. The real mission: determine if that energy could be harvested, and more importantly, if it was safe to bring back to Earth. Tension ran high within the crew. Tara tried to fit in, offering sharp observations and careful analysis, but all she received were cold stares and quiet laughs. "Our intern has another bright idea," they whispered as she passed. "Roth only hired her because of the Diversity Commission." Tara heard it all, but she didn't care. She wasn't here to be liked. She was here to prove herself. What she didn't know was that she'd have to prove it under conditions no one could have imagined. Day 3 on Xylon 7. Tara hadn't slept. She spent the night analyzing data from the seismic sensors. Strange waveforms had appeared on her screen, an oscillation pattern unlike anything she'd ever seen. It didn't follow any known natural law. The frequency was increasing, exponentially, and its origin was directly beneath the primary excavation site. The morning briefing was tense. Tara stood before the team, her data projections hovering in midair. "Based on my calculations, these waves aren't natural. The cycles are too precise, almost like they're programmed, and they're intensifying. If we continue drilling, we could trigger a chain reaction." Roth stared at the graphs, lips pressed tight. The silence hung like a wall between Tara and the rest of the team. Mills looked at the floor. Chen exchanged a glance with Kaito. Then Roth broke the tension with a quiet chuckle. "Regular pulses are a known characteristic of superconductive strata," he said. "This phenomenon has been documented on 4 other planets we've surveyed. Appreciate the enthusiasm, Tara, but there's nothing to worry about." "But this pattern doesn't match." "We have a mission to complete, and time is precious," Roth cut in. "Mills, Kaito, continue drilling as planned. Elias, check the backup systems. We finish before the next radiation cycle begins." Tara turned to Mira, hoping for support, but the scientist only returned a look of quiet regret. Perhaps she considered speaking up, but Mira remained silent under Roth's authority. That afternoon, Tara sat alone in the observation room, watching the seismic graph climb higher and higher. She sent one final warning to the crew: "Frequency levels approaching critical. Strongly recommend halting all drilling operations." No one replied. 15 minutes later, the ground shook. It began with a deep groan from beneath the planet's crust. like something massive stirring in its sleep. Then came the explosion, not from the drill site, but from hundreds of meters below it. A column of blue light shot into the sky, slicing through the research station, destroying everything in its path. "Evacuate! Immediately!" Roth's voice roared through the comms. The Orion 9 team ran for the transport ship as the ground cracked open around them. Screams echoed through the air, mixed with the sound of tearing metal. Tara was on the eastern observation deck, the farthest point from the rendezvous zone. She sprinted through shaking corridors, dodging falling debris. Dust and smoke filled the hallways. "Tara, report your location." Mira's voice crackled in her headset. I'm passing Corridor E, almost at the..." A violent blast. The floor beneath her collapsed. Tara fell into darkness. Her scream caught in her throat. Back on the transport ship, the 5 remaining members of Orion 9 searched desperately for Tara's signal. "Her vitals are weak," Elias said, eyes locked on the screen. "But she's alive." "Location?" Mira asked, voice urgent. "Sector D3, underground, at least 200 meters below surface level." Roth stared at the planet's fractured surface. The blue energy continued erupting from new fissures. His hand clenched around the console. "We can't go back," he said, voice ice cold. "The structure's collapsing. If we stay, we all die." "No!" Mira snapped. "She's alive! We have to..." "She's been a liability since day one," Roth cut in. "I won't sacrifice the entire crew for one person, especially someone who disobeyed orders and proved herself unfit for this mission." Mira looked around the cabin, searching for support, but no one spoke. Mills stared at his hands. Chen silently fastened his harness. Kaito turned away, avoiding her eyes. "She warned us," Mira said, trembling with anger. "And now we're leaving her behind because she was right?" "The decision is made," Roth said, activating the engines. "Log it. Engineer Tara Nguyen, presumed lost in sudden collapse. Status, unconfirmed. We'll send a recovery team once the planet stabilizes." But both Roth and Mira knew the truth. No one was coming back. Too expensive, too dangerous. And a junior engineer wasn't worth the cost. The transport ship lifted off, leaving behind a trail of smoke and shimmering blue light. And far below, in the near-total darkness, a motionless body stirred. A trembling hand reached for a cracked oxygen mask. Tara opened her eyes. Day 3 on Xylon 7. Tara hadn't slept. She spent the night analyzing data from the seismic sensors. Strange waveforms had appeared on her screen, an oscillation pattern unlike anything she'd ever seen. It didn't follow any known natural law. The frequency was increasing exponentially, and its origin was directly beneath the primary excavation site. The morning briefing was tense. Tara stood before the team, her data projections hovering in midair. "Based on my calculations, these waves aren't natural. The cycles are too precise, almost like they're programmed, and they're intensifying. If we continue drilling, we could trigger a chain reaction." Roth stared at the graphs, lips pressed tight. The silence hung like a wall between Tara and the rest of the team. Mills looked at the floor. Chen exchanged a glance with Kaito. Then Roth broke the tension with a quiet chuckle. "Regular pulses are a known characteristic of superconductive strata," he said. "This phenomenon has been documented on 4 other planets we've surveyed. Appreciate the enthusiasm, Tara, but there's nothing to worry about." "But this pattern doesn't match. We have a mission to complete, and time is precious," Roth cut in. "Mills, Kaito, continue drilling as planned. Elias, check the backup systems. We finish before the next radiation cycle begins." Tara turned to Mira, hoping for support, but the scientist only returned a look of quiet regret. Perhaps she considered speaking up, but Mira remained silent under Roth's authority. That afternoon, Tara sat alone in the observation room, watching the seismic graph climb higher and higher. She sent one final warning to the crew. "Frequency levels approaching critical. Strongly recommend halting all drilling operations." No one replied. 15 minutes later, the ground shook. It began with a deep groan from beneath the planet's crust, like something massive stirring in its sleep. Then came the explosion, not from the drill site, but from hundreds of meters below it. A column of blue light shot into the sky, slicing through the research station, destroying everything in its path. "Evacuate! Immediately!" Roth's voice roared through the comms. The Orion 9 team ran for the transport ship as the ground cracked open around them. Screams echoed through the air, mixed with the sound of tearing metal. Tara was on the eastern observation deck, the farthest point from the rendezvous zone. She sprinted through shaking corridors, dodging falling debris. Dust and smoke filled the hallways. "Tara, report your location!" Mira's voice crackled in her headset. I'm passing corridor E, almost at the..." A violent blast. The floor beneath her collapsed. Tara fell into darkness. Her scream caught in her throat. Back on the transport ship, the 5 remaining members of Orion 9 searched desperately for Tara's signal. "Her vitals are weak," Elias said, eyes locked on the screen. "But she's alive." "Location?" Mira asked, voice urgent. "Sector D3 underground, at least 200 meters below surface level." Roth stared at the planet's fractured surface. The blue energy continued erupting from new fissures. His hand clenched around the console. "We can't go back," he said, voice ice cold. "The structure's collapsing. If we stay, we all die." "No," Mira snapped. "She's alive. We have to..." "She's been a liability since day one," Roth cut in. "I won't sacrifice the entire crew for one person, especially someone who disobeyed orders and proved herself unfit for this mission." Mira looked around the cabin, searching for support, but no one spoke. Mills stared at his hands. Chen silently fastened his harness. Kaito turned away, avoiding her eyes. "She warned us," Mira said, trembling with anger. "And now we're leaving her behind because she was right?" "The decision is made," Roth said, activating the engines. "Log it. Engineer Tara Nguyen, presumed lost in sudden collapse. Status unconfirmed. We'll send a recovery team once the planet stabilizes." But both Roth and Mira knew the truth. No one was coming back. Too expensive. Too dangerous. And a junior engineer wasn't worth the cost. The transport ship lifted off, leaving behind a trail of smoke and shimmering blue light. And far below, in the near-total darkness, a motionless body stirred. A trembling hand reached for a cracked oxygen mask. Tara opened her eyes. Oxygen remaining, 17 minutes. The digital display blinked in front of Tara's eyes, the red numbers ticking down with merciless precision. She had spent 5.5 hours exploring the underground complex, searching for an exit or anything she could use. But time was running out. The ancient laboratory she discovered was filled with strange equipment, some still glowing faintly after thousands of years. Biological samples were preserved in crystal canisters. Tara stared at one, a glowing blue moss, absorbing carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. Oxygen remaining, 16 minutes. She carefully removed the moss from its chamber and placed it on the table. With trembling hands, she removed her oxygen mask and opened her emergency toolkit. The Academy hadn't trained her for this exact scenario, but it had taught her one lesson: adapt or die. She took out the filtration unit from her waste recycling system, peeled back the carbon membrane, and split it in two. She layered activated charcoal between the membranes, creating a crude biofilter. With the precision of a trained engineer, she attached it to the mass intake valve. Prototype biofilter version 1, she recorded, using Xylon moss for oxygen generation, carbon mesh for particulate screening, and activated charcoal for toxin absorption. Estimated runtime, unknown, but definitely longer than 16 minutes. She slipped the mask back on and inhaled. The air tasted of metal and damp soil, but it was breathable. She would survive the night. Day 1, air solved. Next up, water. Over the next 3 days, Tara transformed the ancient lab into a survival base. She discovered a thin layer of ice beneath the soil, meltable, drinkable, but she needed heat. Eventually, she found a way to reactivate the base's ancient heating system. Day 2, This facility was once a research station. The beings who built it stood roughly 2 meters tall, had 4 limbs, and possessed technology millennia ahead of ours. Their energy system is still active, powered by some form of cold fusion I've never seen before. Tara explored deeper, salvaging parts she could repurpose. From 2 damaged spacesuits in storage, she built 1 functional suit. From shattered solar panels, she reconstructed a working collector. From scraps of metal and crystal, she crafted a rudimentary dew harvesting system. Every step was a battle, every solution temporary, but she kept going, driven by instinct, ingenuity, and a fury that hadn't quite burned out. Day 3, I found a tunnel leading to the surface, she said in her recorder. It's partially collapsed, but I've dug out a small opening, big enough to push the solar panel through, not big enough for me. I need more time. And tools. She mounted a reflective panel near the surface hole, angled just right to collect nighttime moisture. Each morning, she harvested half a liter of condensed water, enough to survive, barely. Her ribs healed slowly. Food became her greatest concern. She rationed the emergency packs built into her suit. But once those ran dry, she experimented with biosamples from the lab. A strain of algae, edible, but tasted like bitter ash. Day 7, my body's adjusting. Heart rate has slowed to conserve energy. Sleep is lighter, but more efficient. I still dream of Earth, but not of Orion 9. During the second week, Tara discovered the data library. The ancient symbols made no sense. Until she realized they weren't language. They were mathematics, equations, patterns, the universal tongue. Through numbers, she began communicating with the system. Day 14, I've activated the main lighting grid. No more darkness. The species that built this, they called themselves the Varax. They evolved in low-light conditions. To them, this is full brightness. To me, it's still eternal dusk. The tunnel to the surface remained blocked. With no proper tools, she reforged ancient metals, amplified by the base's energy core. Each day, she dug a little farther. Each day, she grew a little stronger. Despair faded. Determination took root. Fear gave way to curiosity. And the anger, once still burning, became something focused, controlled. Day 21. I've created a schedule. 8 hours of excavation, 6 hours of Varax tech research, 4 hours for food production and maintenance, 6 hours of sleep. I'm building a life here. Months passed. Each day was the same. Yet every day, Tara made a ritual entry in her log. Day 3, I'm still alive. Day 17, I'm still alive. Day 42, I'm still alive. Day 100, I'm still alive. And then, one day as she adjusted the dew collector through the narrow hole to the surface, a shadow passed overhead. Not a rock, not a cloud. Something moved. Something with a shape, almost human. Day 112. The sky over Xylon 7 turned crimson as the second sun sank below the horizon. This was the best time to collect dew, when the temperature dropped sharply and humidity spiked. Tara crawled through the narrow tunnel she had dug over the past 3 months. It was now just wide enough for her to climb to the surface, though still risky, above toxic air, high radiation, but light and water. Below, safety, but darkness, confinement. She adjusted the dew collector, rotating it toward the optimal wind direction. Her makeshift reflectors now covered nearly 2 square meters, enough to harvest almost a liter of water each night. Not much, but enough to survive. As she turned back toward the tunnel, movement flickered at the edge of her vision. Tara froze. In 3 months on the surface, she had never seen anything larger than moss, lichen, or insect-like creatures. But this was different. The movement had purpose. It had intelligence. She slowly turned her head. Roughly 200 meters away, a dark figure stood motionless among the glowing blue rocks. Tall, slender, bipedal, almost human. Her heart pounded so loudly she could hear it in her ears. Impossible. No one else was here. Orion 9 was the first crew to land on Xylon 7. No other ships had ever made it this far. She tried to focus, but the light was fading. The figure shifted, as if turning to face her, then vanished behind a boulder. "Hello!" Tara called out, then immediately regretted it. Her voice echoed between the stones, breaking the silence that had lasted for 3 months. Her improvised mask wasn't built for conversation. No response. Only wind and fading light. Logic said she should return to the safety of the base below. That was the smart thing to do, but 3 months of solitude had changed her. Fear had faded, curiosity remained, and somewhere deep inside, a need for connection. She grabbed a metal rod, her makeshift weapon, and moved toward the rocks where the shadow had vanished. The terrain here felt different, not like the wild, jagged zones she'd explored before. It was geometric, almost intentional. Rounding the final stone, Tara stopped in her tracks. What stood before her wasn't a creature, but an entrance, a massive structure, buried deep beneath rock and soil, partially unearthed. A gateway, glowing with symbols, the same symbols she had studied for months in the lab below. "I don't believe it," she whispered, activating her recorder. "An entire civilization buried right beneath us. Orion 9 drilled directly over an ancient city and never even knew." She stepped closer to the gate, tracing the glowing lines along its surface. This wasn't reflected light. It was power, still active, after thousands of years. When Tara touched the surface, a tingle spread through her fingers. The light shifted, reconfiguring into new patterns. The gate trembled. A vertical seam appeared. She stepped back, unsure. But her curiosity outweighed her fear. She turned on her wrist flashlight and carefully stepped inside. A wide corridor extended downward, illuminated by faint glowing panels. Unlike the lab she'd lived in, this was vast, designed for hundreds, maybe thousands of inhabitants. "This is a city," she said, her voice trembling with awe. "A high-tech city, buried underground." As she ventured deeper, Tara made a stunning realization. This place wasn't abandoned. No people remained, but the system still worked. The air was clean, breathable without a mask. The temperature, perfect. At the city's core, she entered a massive circular chamber, with a column of blue light rising from the center. Surrounding it were dozens of workstations, covered in complex controls. And there, standing at one of the terminals, was the figure she had seen. It wasn't human, but it wasn't exactly alien either. It was a projection, a holographic interface designed to resemble its creators. Tall, slender, 4 arms, an elongated head. The projection turned as Tara entered, its pupilless eyes watching her. Then it spoke, not in words but in math. A voice like chimes carried on wind. Tara didn't need a translator. 3 months of studying Varak's glyphs had taught her their language. "Visitor from outside," the projection said. "After all this time." "Who are you?" Tara asked, articulating the question in symbols. "We are the timekeepers, guardians of the light, and now, after 100,000 cycles, you have come." Tara stared around the chamber in awe. Everything Orion 9 had searched for. The ancient energy source, the mystery of a vanished civilization. It was all here. Not a treasure to exploit, but knowledge, waiting to be shared. "Why me?" she asked. "Why show me this?" The projection moved slowly around her, curious, calm. Many came before, other deep from distant stars. But they sought power, not understanding. They took, but did not give. They destroyed, but never built. It stopped in front of her. "You are different. You learn. You adapt. You respect." "I didn't have a choice," Tara admitted. "Exactly," it replied. "And that is why you are worthy of the light. Come, there is much to learn." As Tara stepped into the column of blue light, she felt something she hadn't felt in over 3 months. Hope. Not just the hope to survive, but the hope to understand. The journey to uncover the truth behind Xylon 7, and perhaps the universe itself had only just begun. 7 days had passed since Tara discovered the underground city. 7 days of study, exploration, and wonder. 7 days living inside a world humanity had never even dreamed of. At the center of the city stood a massive circular structure. Not a power plant, as Orion 9 had assumed, but a life sustainment station, a complex system designed to regulate the entire planet's ecosystem. But its core, the main power source, was still dormant, waiting for something. "What's the issue?" Tara asked her AI guide, a being she now called Guardian. "We are waiting for a compatible interface," Guardian responded in its language of math and motion. "Your technology is incompatible with our systems." Tara glanced at her Earth-made tools, scanners, energy analyzers, her handheld computer. All useless here. What counted as advanced back home was little more than children's toys compared to the Varax. "There must be a way," Tara said, circling the pulsing blue core. "How did they interface with it?" Guardian pointed to a row of slits on the main console. "Biological interface. The Varax did not use machines to connect. They used themselves." Tara stepped closer, studying the slits. They resembled handprints, but not human. Longer, thinner, 6 fingers instead of 5. "I'm not Varax," she said, a note of frustration in her voice. "No," Guardian agreed, "but you carry what they carried." "What's that?" "Empathy, connection, the opposite of those who came before you, those who sought only to take." Tara thought of Roth, of his orders, of Orion 9's real mission, to extract the energy, regardless of the consequences. That attitude had nearly destroyed them all. "How do I connect if I don't have their physiology?" she asked. Guardian floated to another corner of the chamber and pointed to a smaller device. "An adapter, created for non-native species during the Golden Age. It is imperfect, but sufficient." The device looked like a glove, made of liquid metal, shimmering silver, yet moving like water. When Tara touched it, it wrapped around her hand, reshaping itself, extending her fingers, coating them in a metallic sheath. "This feels strange," she whispered, a soft current of energy running along her arm. "Now," Guardian said, "place your hand into the interface and open yourself. Not your thoughts, your feelings." The Varax didn't connect through logic alone. They connected with their entire being. Tara approached the console. She hesitated, then placed her hand into the slot. At first, nothing. Then, as she closed her eyes and let go, a surge of energy rushed through her. Not pain, expansion. It was like her mind suddenly touched something vast, a network far greater than herself. She felt as though she were drifting through an ocean of consciousness. Pure information, raw memory. She saw herself among the stars, and below her, Xylon 7. Its history raced past her in flashes. The birth of the Varax, their rise, their technology, and at last their transformation. They hadn't gone extinct. They had evolved. Leaving behind physical form, they converted their consciousness into pure energy, entrusting the planet's protection to the system and waiting for a new species, one evolved enough, empathetic enough to take their place. Tara's awareness returned to her body, but it wasn't the same. It was expanded, awakened. She opened her eyes and saw the world not just with sight, but with sensation. The interface hadn't changed her. It had awakened something already inside her. The control room lit up. Panels came to life. Data streamed across displays, once incomprehensible, now crystal clear. Guardian reappeared before her, but no longer a vague shimmer. It now glowed with vibrant clarity, radiating life. "You have succeeded," Guardian said. Its voice was no longer math, but clear, human-like speech. "The station is awake, and so are you." "I feel different," Tara said, looking down at her hand, where faint streams of energy flowed along her skin. "I see everything, more clearly." "That is the connection," Guardian replied. "You are now part of the system, and it is part of you." Tara walked to the observation window, looking out over the surface of Xylon 7. With her new sight, she could see the energy grid pulsing across the planet, a living system of balance, healing, and growth. "Why me?" she asked quietly. "Out of everyone, why was it me?" Guardian stood beside her, its glow reflected in her eyes. "Because others came to take. You came and learned to live. They wanted control. You wanted understanding. That is what the Varak sought. Not a conqueror, but a guardian." "The chosen one," Tara whispered, remembering the term Guardian had used during their first meeting. "Yes," Guardian confirmed. "Not because of prophecy, not fate, but because you are the only one who came here. Not to take, but to belong." Tara returned to the main console. Looking down at the controls, she now understood. With this connection, she could do more than sustain the planet. She could send a signal, a beacon that any passing ship could detect. "I can contact Earth," she said, excitement rising. "I could call for rescue." Guardian was silent for a moment. Then, "You could. But consider this. What you've discovered is not meant to be exploited. If you call them, what will they come for?" Tara thought again of Roth, of the United Planetary Commission, of extraction, of weaponization. "I understand," she said, "but I can't stay here forever." "No," Guardian agreed, "but perhaps you can wait until you understand enough to protect what's here." Tara looked out at the display, watching the planet breathe and glow under the system's care. A planet she once saw as a prison was now her responsibility. "Okay," she said, calm and resolute. "I'll learn, I'll understand, and when the time comes, I'll call, but on my terms, not theirs." Guardian emitted a warm pulse, a gesture Tara now recognized as approval. "Then let us begin your first lesson, Chosen One. To control Xylon 7, you must first understand it. And to understand it, I must become part of it," Tara said, and placed her hand on the console once more. 3 years, 1,095 days since Orion 9 left Xylon 7, leaving Tara in absolute isolation. 3 years, and Tara was no longer the person she once was. Back on Earth, the Xylon 7 incident had been buried. The official report read, "Researcher Tara Nguyen perished in an unforeseen geological collapse." No one spoke the truth, that she'd been left behind. No one except Mira. Dr. Mira Chen resigned from the Interstellar Exploration Division just 3 months after the mission. The silence, the lies, the guilt, it was too much. She turned to independent research, spending sleepless nights analyzing old Xylon 7 telemetry, searching for something, maybe redemption. Everything changed on a cold winter night when her receiver picked up a strange signal, a frequency unlike anything she'd seen. Origin, Xylon 7, nature, unknown. But the message was clear, an invitation. No one believed her. No one would fund a return trip to a planet labeled commercially worthless. So Mira sold her apartment, emptied her savings, and hired a small transport ship and pilot. 3 months across the cold void of space, driven only by a single hope, that the signal wasn't just a guilty mind playing tricks. On her first day back on Xylon 7, Mira sensed something different. The atmosphere was still toxic, but more stable. The barren surface, once covered in dry rock and sand, now bloomed with patches of moss and low-lying flora, growing in geometric patterns, as if planted with purpose. And in the center of it all, where the Orion 9 base once stood, rose a 20-meter tower, glowing with a soft, pulsing blue light. "This can't be," Mira whispered through her oxygen mask. "This isn't our tech." She approached the tower. Her handheld scanner blared warnings, an unknown energy signature. The kind of energy Roth had dreamed of, the kind they'd abandoned Tara to pursue. When Mira was within 10 meters, the ground beneath her began to vibrate. Lines of light rippled across the surface in complex patterns. Then a voice, not through her headset, but inside her mind. "Access denied, identity not recognized." Before she could react, a beam of energy shot from the tower, sweeping across her. It didn't harm her, but it knocked her back a step. Small light columns erupted around the tower. Barriers, not natural light. Force fields. "Please," Mira said aloud, hoping whatever system controlled the tower was listening. "I don't mean to intrude, I'm just, looking for... Mira?" A voice, a real one. Human, but different. Filtered, layered, as if passing through something not entirely of this world. Mira turned, and there, just meters away, stood a figure in a black, form-fitting suit lined with glowing blue seams. No oxygen mask, though the atmosphere was still lethal. The face, Mira knew that face. "No, it can't be," she whispered, her legs frozen in place. "Tara?" The woman smiled. The same smile, but eyes that burned with something deeper. Something unexplainable. "It's been a while, Doctor." "Chen," Tara said, her voice soft, but carrying a new power. How are you alive? We thought you were dead." "I thought you were dead," Mira's voice broke. Tears filled her eyes. "I'm sorry, Tara. I wasn't strong enough. I couldn't stop Roth." Tara stepped forward. The energy barriers faded as she passed through. She placed a hand gently on Mira's shoulder. "I know," she said. "I heard everything. The recordings from the transport. They were still in the research station system. I know you tried." Mira looked around, overwhelmed by the transformation. "All of this? You did this? How? How did you survive out here? No support, no supplies." Tara chuckled softly. The sound was almost musical. "There's a lot to explain, but first let's go somewhere safer. This atmosphere still isn't friendly to unadapted bodies." With a wave of her hand, Tara opened a shimmering doorway, a perfect portal leading to a brightly lit corridor beneath the surface. Mira stepped through, feeling like Alice falling down the rabbit hole. Inside, the city was breathtaking, vast, glowing with impossible technology. "This is unbelievable. Orion drilled right above this and didn't even realize?" "They did," Tara said, guiding her through the wide corridors. "But they never understood what it was. They sought power, but never the truth behind it. This energy, it's not just a resource, it's part of a living ecosystem." Mira studied Tara, how she moved, how she spoke. Something fundamental had changed. The girl who'd been left behind was gone. In her place stood someone confident, powerful, and perhaps no longer entirely human. "Tara, what have you become?" Tara paused before a large observation window, overlooking a vast command center, where holograms of Xylon 7 rotated in midair, data streaming all around. "I became who I had to be to survive," she said. And for a moment, Mira saw the girl she once knew. Vulnerable, real. And along the way, I discovered what Orion 9 never looked for. The truth of Xylon 7 and its role in the universe. Mira stepped beside her, heart heavy with guilt and awe. "I thought I came here to save you, or at least to find out what happened. But it's clear now. You don't need saving." Tara turned to her, eyes glowing with a strange light. I don't, but I was lonely. And in that moment, surrounded by alien wonder, Mira saw a flash of pure humanity in her old friend. Before she could respond, alarms echoed through the complex. Tara turned toward the central display. "A ship just entered orbit," she said, her voice tense. "A large one, armed," Mira swallowed. "I think they followed me. The United Planetary Commission." Roth Tara faced her, her expression cold and resolute. "Then it's time," she said, "for them to face what they left behind." The Orion X descended onto the surface of Xylon 7 in a plume of glowing blue dust. Larger and more heavily armed than the original ship, its twin ion cannons glinted along each side. Weapons the United Planetary Commission claimed were only for defensive missions. The hatch opened and 5 figures stepped out. At the front, Roth, his hair more silver than before, but his eyes as sharp as they were 3 years ago. Behind him, Mills, Kaido, Chen, and Elias. The original Orion 9 team, -1. Remember the mission, Roth said over the comms. Find Mira, locate the source of the signal, and ensure the technology doesn't fall into the wrong hands, in that order. They scanned the area, stunned by the transformation. A planet once dry and lifeless was now covered in glowing blue moss, with crystalline formations growing in perfect geometric clusters, and ahead, rising from the horizon, a tall spire pulsing like a beacon through the thin mist. The signal's coming from that area, Mills said, pointing. Same coordinates as our old research site. And Mira's ship? Elias asked, eyes scanning the horizon. Parked on the far side of the tower, Kaito replied, checking his scanner. No sign of her, no sign of anyone. They moved forward, weapons at the ready. No one said it, but all of them felt it. Something was wrong. The air was too still, as if the entire planet was holding its breath. As they approached the tower, the ground lit up beneath them, pulsing veins of energy snaking across the surface in intricate patterns. Then a voice entered their minds. Not through the comms, but directly into their thoughts. Access denied. Multiple weapons detected. Hostile intent confirmed. What the hell is that? Chen muttered, looking around. Roth stayed calm. Some kind of defense system. Mills, can you disable it? Before he could answer, a ring of energy erupted from the ground, trapping them in a perfect circle. Harmless, but impenetrable. This just got worse, Kaito said, eyes on the tower. From the base of the spire, dozens of glowing pillars rose, guardians of light shifting and drifting toward them. They're not human tech, Chen whispered, equal parts fear and awe. Fire, Roth ordered, raising his ion rifle. Take them down! They fired. 5 weapons lit the air, but the beams passed straight through the figures, like shooting at smoke. They're not solid, Mills said, lowering his weapon. What are they? Holograms? Energy constructs? Elias guessed, backing up. Whatever they are, they're not friendly. The figures were 10 meters away when a voice called out. A real one, this time, human, and terrifyingly familiar. I think that's enough, it said. A figure stepped out from behind the spire, walking with calm confidence, dressed in a sleek black suit, pulsing with blue light. No oxygen mask, despite the toxic air. Long black hair tied behind her head. A familiar face, but subtly altered, like it had been reshaped with precision. No, Kaito whispered. Tara. Elias barely breathed. She walked to the edge of the energy ring, looking at them with calm eyes. No anger, no hatred, just something deeper, something unnerving. Welcome back to Xylon 7, she said, her voice echoing with strange power. I wondered if you'd return. Roth was the first to recover. Tara Nguyen, I don't know how you're alive, but we're here to locate Dr. Mira Chen. Have you seen her? Tara smiled, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Doctor, Chen is safe. Unlike the last time you left me. Silence. Chen looked down. Mills started to speak, then stopped. Only Roth remained unchanged. It was a difficult call, he said flatly. We had to prioritize the safety of the team. You know, Tara said gently, I found the recordings. I heard everything. She's been a liability from the start. That's how you described me, wasn't it, Roth? He stood tall but said nothing. Allow me to reintroduce myself, Tara continued, her voice laced with quiet irony. Tara Nguyen, liability of Orion 9, who survived and uncovered what you all missed. A civilization older than humanity by millions of years, with technology beyond anything you can comprehend. She waved her hand, and the energy barrier opened a single passage. Dr. Chen is waiting inside the city. You may join her, but you leave your weapons here. Roth gripped his rifle tighter. We're not here for sightseeing, Nguyen. We're here to protect Earth's interests. If you found advanced tech, it belongs to humanity. Tara shook her head, disappointment in her voice. 3 years, and you still don't understand. You still think this is about ownership, about power? That's exactly why the system chose me. and not you. What system? Mills asked, curiosity rising above fear. The system that saved this planet, Tara answered, and the one that will save you, if you let me. There's a wave coming, a chain reaction caused by the drilling you did 3 years ago. It's about to sweep across this entire region. It will wipe out everything on the surface, including your ship, and anyone still aboard. Roth narrowed his eyes. Why should we believe you? Because I'm standing here, breathing toxic air, alive after 3 years alone on this planet. Because if I wanted revenge, you wouldn't be standing here at all. She looked at each of them in turn, her gaze finally settling on Chen. I didn't need you to save me, but now you need me to survive. The team exchanged glances, uncertain. Roth remained silent, but Mills slowly lowered his weapon. I want to see Mira, he said, and I want to see what you found. One by one, they followed, until only Roth remained. After a long pause, he too lowered his rifle. Tara turned, leading them toward the spire. Just remember, she said, this isn't Earth. This isn't your territory. You're not conquerors here. You're guests. And as they passed through the hidden entrance of the tower, for the first time since landing on Zilon 7, the Orion crew felt something unfamiliar. Humility. The subterranean city of Varax unfolded before the Orion team like an unimaginable dream. Vast corridors illuminated with blue light, timeless architecture with flawless curves, and technology far surpassing anything humanity had ever created. At the command center, Mira waited, her eyes widening upon seeing her former colleagues. For a moment, no one spoke. Suspicion and guilt hung heavily in the air. Mira, Mills finally broke the silence. Are you all right? Better than ever, Mira replied, her gaze shifting to Tara with evident respect. Tara has shown me the truth. About Xylon 7, about Varax, about everything. What is this, Nguyen? Roth inquired, observing the complex data displays. An alien civilization, and you're controlling it? Not controlling, Tara corrected, approaching a large central console. Collaborating. The Varax didn't go extinct. They evolved beyond physical form. What you see here is their legacy, a system designed to maintain and protect the planet. She waved her hand over the console, and a three-dimensional map of Xylon 7 materialized in the air. Red energy lines coursed through a vast region, spreading from the site where the Orion team had drilled 3 years prior. This is our problem, Tara explained. The drilling disrupted one of the protective layers. Energy leaked, and now it's accumulated to a dangerous level. A bioenergy storm will sweep across the surface within 6 hours. Elias stepped closer, scrutinizing the data. It's not just energy. These patterns resemble living organisms. Precisely, Tara nodded. The Varax built their technology upon life, not machinery. What you're observing is an ancient life form, the guardian of the planet's core, and now it's awakening, feeling threatened. At that moment, the ground trembled violently. Screens flickered, and the entire city seemed to shudder. It's approaching, Guardian appeared, its light pulsating with concern. Energy levels exceeding all predictions. The system cannot contain it. What energy? Roth demanded, skepticism in his voice. What's coming? Call it the Strider, Tara responded, her fingers swiftly navigating the console. The core protector of Xylon 7. It senses your presence, the invaders who previously harmed the planet, and it's coming to eliminate the threat. A large screen displayed the planet's surface, where a massive column of light was emerging from the old drilling site. No longer mere light, it was coalescing into a form, nearly 100 meters tall, resembling a luminous, multi-legged creature. My God, Chen whispered, how can we possibly combat that? We can't, Tara said solemnly, but I can communicate with it. I'm connected to the system. I can explain that you're not a threat, that humanity can learn. Then do it, Roth urged. Tell it we've come in peace or something. Tara exchanged a glance with Guardian. It's not that simple. It doesn't trust words. It only trusts memories and experiences. Memories? Mira questioned. What do you mean? I have to share my memories with it, Show it the truth about humanity through my eyes, Tara explained. But there's a catch. The Strider isn't like Guardian. It's more primal, more violent. It won't just review my memories, it will consume them. You'll lose your memories? Mills asked, concern evident. Not all. Just those of my time on Xylon 7, about Verax, about the past 3 years. Tara looked down at her hands where blue energy lines traced her veins. Everything I've learned, everything I've become. Mira stepped forward, grasping Tara's arm. Number. There must be another way. There's no time to find another way, Tara said gently. The Strider will reach the city in 10 minutes. It will annihilate us all. Another tremor, stronger than before. Dust fell from the ceiling. Why? Roth suddenly spoke, his eyes filled with doubt. Why are you doing this? We abandoned you. You have every reason to let us die. Tara turned to face him, and in that moment they saw the young woman from 3 years ago. Intelligent, passionate, and above all, compassionate. Because that's not who I am, she said simply. Not the person I've chosen to be, regardless of how you've treated me. She turned to Guardian. Prepare the deep connection protocol. I'll share everything. Guardian glowed with apprehension. Tara, you'll lose all knowledge of Varax, of the system, of your bond with this planet. I know, Tara nodded, but they'll live, and maybe this time, they'll learn something. She approached the main console, placing both hands on the biointerface. Blue energy began to flow from her body into the system, illuminating like a flame. There's only one safe exit from the city, she told the Orion team, her voice strained. Guardian will lead you to your ship. Once there, you'll have exactly 3 minutes to take off before the Strider arrives. Tara! Mira's eyes brimmed with tears. Will you come with us? Tara smiled, a sad yet resolute smile. I can't disconnect now, but don't worry. I'll survive. I always survive. Another violent tremor forced everyone to grasp onto something for stability. On the screens, the Strider was nearing the city, each step leaving energy fissures on the planet's surface. Go, now! A week after the confrontation with Strider, the Orion X ship remained anchored on the surface of Xylon 7. No one wanted to leave, nor did they dare to, not while Tara was still recovering. In the underground city's council chamber, the atmosphere was heavy. Tara sat at one end of the table, silent, her posture upright, but her gaze distant. Although her body bore no injuries, her mind had been wiped clean of all memories from the past 3 years. Guardian had helped her understand what had transpired, but understanding is not the same as experiencing. She knew what she had done, but could no longer feel it. At the other end of the table sat Roth, his face appearing much older than it had a week prior. Between them were the other members of the Orion team and Mira, all silent, unsure of what to say after all that had happened. The United Federation wants to initiate negotiations. Roth finally broke the silence, his voice deeper, more fatigued. They want to establish a permanent research station on Xylon 7 to study Verax technology. To exploit it, you mean? Mira said, her tone firm. To turn it into weapons. That's no longer the objective, Roth sighed. After what's happened, after what we've seen, priorities have shifted. He turned to Tara, his eyes searching for a glimmer of recognition, a sign that she remembered who he was. But her face remained calm, indifferent. Tara Nguyen, Roth said solemnly, I want to formally apologize. On behalf of the Orion 9 team, on behalf of myself, and on behalf of the United Federation, we were wrong to abandon you. We were wrong not to listen to you. And we were wrong to place the value of exploitation over the value of life. The room fell into silence. This was the first time in Roth's 30-year career that he publicly acknowledged a mistake. Tara slowly looked up, her eyes finally meeting Roth's. There was no anger, no bitterness, only a strange tranquility. Don't call my name, she said, her voice gentle but firm. Remember why I have to live. She stood up and walked to the large window overlooking the radiant underground city. I've watched the recordings. I've read my own journals. I know who I was, what I did, but that person now feels like a stranger to me. You can rebuild, Mills said, his voice full of hope. Return to Earth. Be welcomed as a hero. All your research, every discovery you've made, they will change the course of scientific history. Tara shook her head, turning back to them. I can't leave. I don't remember how to operate the system, but Guardian says I'm still the only one who can connect with it. My biology has changed. My DNA has changed. I belong here now. You're saying you'll stay? Alone? Elias asked, stunned. Not alone, Tara replied, glancing at Guardian hovering nearby. And not forever, but until I fully understand this system, until I can ensure it won't be misused, yes, I will stay. She approached Roth, standing before him, no longer the timid young engineer, but a woman with clear strength and purpose. 3 years ago, you said I was a burden. You considered me an unnecessary addition to the mission. But that storm would never have occurred if you'd listened to me. Strider would never have awakened if you hadn't drilled into the protective layer. All of this could have been avoided. Roth couldn't meet her gaze. I know. So here's the deal, Tara said. You can establish your research station. You can learn, observe, document, but no exploitation, no drilling, cutting, or interfering with the system. And no one enters the city without my permission. Roth nodded slowly. The Federation won't be pleased with those terms. Then remind them of what happened with Strider, Tara replied coldly. Remind them that there are things on Xylon 7 far more ancient and powerful. Not all can be so easily persuaded. A heavy silence enveloped the room. Then Mills cleared his throat. Tara, I'll stay, if you'll allow it, to help you research, to understand more. Me too, Chen added. No, Tara shook her head. You have your lives on Earth, and I need time. Time to rediscover myself, to relearn what I once knew. Perhaps someday, but not now. She turned to Mira, her gaze softening. Except for you, Mira. I've read my journals. I know you tried to stop them. I know you came back for me. If you'd like to stay for a while, I won't refuse. Mira smiled, tears welling up. I will stay. But first, I need to return to Earth, to tell your story. The real story, not the sanitized official version. They won't let you do that, Roth warned. The Federation will suppress it. They can try, Mira responded, her eyes filled with determination, but the truth always finds. 20 years have passed. The world has changed. The United Planetary Union has evolved. New technologies have been developed, new worlds discovered. Yet Xylon 7 remains humanity's greatest enigma, a planet protected not by weapons or treaties, but by a solitary woman. In a lecture hall at the International Space Academy, an elderly professor is concluding her lecture. Displayed behind her is an image of Xylon 7, not the barren planet it once was, but now adorned with glowing blue forests, resembling intricate patterns of a living painting when viewed from satellites. And that is all we are permitted to know about Xylon 7, the professor states, her gaze sweeping over the eager young students. The only planet in the history of space exploration where humans are neither allowed to exploit nor interfere. A place with only one authorized research station, staffed by select individuals. A student raises a hand. Professor Chen, what about the Guardian? Do they really exist? Professor Mira Chen, now 70, her hair silver but her eyes sharp, smiles. Official documents state that Xylon 7 is protected by an ancient automated system. There's no mention of a Guardian in the Union's reports. But what about the rumors, another student inquires, about the woman who was left behind? About Tara Nguyen? That name, a name the United Planetary Union had tried to erase from all records, from history, casts a hush over the class. I cannot comment on rumors, Mira responds, her tone professional, though her eyes reveal something else, a secret, a promise. I can only share with you what's in the official records. As the class disperses and students exit, a young woman seated in the back remains. She waits until the room is empty before approaching the professor's desk. Professor Chen, she begins, her voice soft yet steady. I'm Maya Lin, I've been researching Xylon 7 for 2 years, and I think I've found something. Mira looks up from her screen, studying the young woman intently. Maya Lin, you're a bioengineering major, correct? Impressive grades, and your questions are often unconventional. Maya retrieves a small storage device from her pocket. I found this in my family's archives. My grandfather was Mills. He served on the Orion 9. Mira's eyes widen. Mills, the man who steadfastly refused to sign the confidentiality agreement, who was forced into early retirement, who quietly collected data over the years. What is this? Mira asks, her voice lowered. Archive 037, Maya replies. My grandfather called it Tara, the one they left behind. It contains everything, mission logs, recordings from the ship, and, she pauses, messages from Xylon 7 that he secretly recorded over the past 20 years. Mira accepts the device, her aged hands trembling. Have you watched it? Maya nods. I think I understand why the Union wants to keep it secret. Not because they're afraid it will cause panic, but because it will make people question how we explore, how we treat other worlds, how we treat each other. Mira smiles, a sad yet proud expression. Mills was always insightful, and so are you, Maya Lin. You knew her, didn't you? Maya asks, her eyes brightening. You knew Tara Nguyen. Mira gazes out the window, where the night sky is filled with stars. Somewhere out there, on a distant planet with a purple atmosphere and glowing forests, a woman continues her self-imposed mission, protecting a world not her own. Tonight, Mira decides, my office. Bring that device. It's time the world knows the truth. That evening, in Professor Chen's small, secure office, Maya Lin connects the device to the computer. Both women, one nearing the end of her journey, the other just beginning, watch as the screen lights up with the Archive 037 logo and data begins to stream. Then a face appears, a young woman with long black hair, eyes shining with wisdom beyond her years. She stands on the surface of Xylon 7, without an oxygen mask against a backdrop of glowing energy towers and vast blue forests. This is my 23rd message, Tara's voice resonates, clear and strong. To Earth, to anyone who will listen. Xylon 7 has completed its 10th recovery cycle. The forests have returned. The first creatures have re-emerged from dormancy. The planet is healing. She pauses, looking directly into the camera, as if peering through time and space, directly at those watching. Many call me a hero, she continues. The woman who subdued an alien world. The survivor who conquered adversity. But the truth is much simpler. The Xylon wind tousles her hair, and Tara smiles. A smile no longer belonging to the young woman abandoned 20 years prior, but to someone who has found purpose and peace. I'm not stronger than them. I simply had no other choice. And sometimes that's all we need. Not extraordinary strength, not grand destiny, but just the resolve to keep going when there's no other option. She gazes up at Xylon 7's purple sky, where stars are beginning to appear. And perhaps that's enough. Enough to survive. Enough to change. Enough to become who the world needs you to be. As the message concludes, Maya and Mira sit in silence. Finally, Maya speaks. I'll share it, she declares, determination in her voice. With everyone. They need to know. Mira nods, tears streaming down her aged face. That's exactly what she wanted. Why she sent these messages. Not for praise or remembrance, but to teach us. And so, after 20 years buried, the story of Tara Nguyen began to spread. From one university to another, from one world to the next. Not as a tale of betrayal or vengeance, but as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, to our capacity to survive, adapt, and ultimately forgive. The story of a woman abandoned, who not only survived, but saved those who left her behind, who sacrificed her memories to save the undeserving, who chose to stay to protect a world not her own. The story of Tara Nguyen, not as an extraordinary legend, but as a human being with all our flaws and strengths. A person who became a symbol not because she was different, but because in the face of extreme adversity, she exemplified the best we can be. And on Xylon 7, under the light of two unfamiliar suns, amidst glowing forests and awakening creatures, Tara continues her work. Not for glory or recognition, but because it's the right thing to do. Because it's the person she chose to become. An immortal legend not for possessing extraordinary powers, but for a simple, powerful truth. That even in the complete darkness of betrayal and solitude, a flame of humanity can be ignited. And once lit, it never truly extinguishes. That is Tara's true legacy, the one they left behind.